Welcome to Geeks Corner. I'm Mr. Daps.
I'm Katie.
And we're so excited that you're here tonight. We've got a lot to geek out about.
It's been a crazy week.
It is. Before we get into too much, though, what should people do?
You should go to geekscorner.live. I almost forgot what website you should go to. Go to geekscorner.live, and from there you can go directly into the chat, which we can see over here, and say nice things to us.
That is true.
If you know what my sweatshirt is, talk about my sweatshirt.
Sure.
I'll talk with you about it.
There you
Mr.
go.
Daps, that's me.
All right. We are going to start off tonight with a segment we've been doing a lot that we don't have an intro for yet. I just realized.
Gotta fix that.
We got to fix that. But what's on Mr. Daps' desk? And tonight it is A Geek in Japan, which is a book I got from my sister. I guess I should aim it this way.
Yeah, probably.
That I don't know why it's called A Geek in Japan, other than the guy who writes it, his website is A Geek in Japan, because it's really just everything you need to know about Japan.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of an overview of like what the culture is, and like, here's this page as I randomly opened to it. The virtue of humility.
Okay.
Like, it's going into random things in let's see, the cherry blossoms, animal figures.
I'd love to see the cherry blossoms.
Why do Japanese women cover their mouths when they laugh? I don't know. You'd have to read that page. Japanese cities and architecture. Go ahead.
Apparently, Huntington Beach, which we're very close to, has a sister city in Japan, and Huntington hosts like a cherry blossom festival, which we passed a few months ago. But apparently it is done.
Oh, to line up.
No, it is done like with the help of the sister city in Japan. Also,
Kyoto's various districts.
Huntington is one of those cities. Everybody has one where you're from. Huntington is one of those cities where you can tell if you're a local or not by the way you say it.
How do you say it?
Huntington.
Is that how I say it?
I think so.
Huntington?
Huntington.
Yeah, I think I do. Instead of like Huntington?
Out of towners will say Huntington Beach.
Huntington.
Is there one in Minnesota?
I want to hear Tom Brokaw say it, because he'd be like, Huntington.
Is there one in Minnesota?
I'm sure.
Oh, I didn't know if you had one off the
Not
top
off the top of my head.
But I feel like every
Oregon. Like, a lot of people that aren't from Oregon say Oregon.
Really?
Especially if you're not from the West Coast.
Here's a fun one that one time somebody tried to argue with me about. My grandma lives in Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
Havasu.
Someone tried to argue with me one time that it is Havasu.
Havasu.
And I was like, first of all, don't church it up. It's Havasu. It is not Havasu.
Unless you drink tea at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with crumpets.
Oh, yes. Then we go down to Havasu.
Isn't that where the London Bridge is, though?
It is.
Okay,
yes.
So there you go.
The London Bridge. People from California don't pronounce T's.
All right. Well, that's
also like
Puyallup.
Oh, yeah. I would not have been able to say that.
A lot of people don't know that one.
Would not have been able to say that. So, correct. Yeah, because like thinking about T's, Westminster.
All right, let's get into the show.
No one says T's.
Well, they make them, they don't hit them hard. All right. This has been a big week for Disney news, and people have been asking for this for a while. But first off, the Halcyon, Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, is taking its final cruise at the end of September. In fact, I think it's the 28th where it takes its final cruise.
28th to the 30th.
And it was announced this last week. Very appropriate, because the fiscal year for Disney ends, I think it was at 30th.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense. But what do you think about Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser no longer going to a galaxy far, far away?
I am extremely bummed, mainly because we don't know what's going to happen next with the building.
I'm pretty sure nothing.
That makes me sad, because I would love...
Mainly because they have to depreciate it, and which means it has to sit there.
100%.
I'm pretty sure.
I get that. And they're expecting it to depreciate like what, 100, 200 million is what they said? I would just love if it was open to go to the bar or to eat, and I understand why that can't happen. But man, I wish I could have seen inside of it once. And it's a bummer to see something like this. While I understand because the price tag, it was obviously something that I could not feasibly pull off doing. I understand why it's happening. It's just a bummer to see something of this level of immersion and entertainment um not be successful. And it just bums me out.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a major bummer. I definitely was on the team of trying to get somebody to go with me last year, and I could not get anybody to go with me at the like when it first opened, and which surprised me because I was like, one of my friends has to be crazy enough to go with me for this, but it just wouldn't happen. And I am. I think it's sad that it's going away. I actually don't know if the price is as big of an issue as is the PR issue. I do have to wonder if the thing had opened under the current leadership and if the current leadership had been the ones pitching it and the ones that were the face of it, I have to wonder if it would be remaining open. The reason I can say that, or I think that, is I was there the moment Bob Chapek, then Parks Experiences and Products chief, chairman, whatever, introduced it. And we were all geeking out about it as he's announcing it to us and looking at a camera and reading a teleprompter. And then he walked away before any of us could say a word to him and ask about it and be excited about it. And we did get to talk to Imagineers after, which was amazing. But I felt like it was such a huge missed opportunity. And I was like, no, 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 this is your moment to bask in this and connect. And I feel like from day one that this was announced, it was kind of this is Bob Chapek's pet project that's going to make a lot of money and also is incredibly innovative. And so I think people didn't have the same perception of the price or perceived value, I guess you could say, which means that you're starting off from before we even knew the price, it was too expensive. Because it was going to be such a value to the shareholders because everything was about the shareholders instead of the guests. And I do have to wonder if you had somebody like Josh D'Amaro or Bob Iger come in and talk about how awesome it is and everything you can get and how it's basically the same price as if you go on a Disney cruise line to Mexico for the same amount of time. I do have to wonder if there would have been a different outcome for this hotel / cruise ship in space
Thing.
Yes. And before we talk any more about it, I forgot one thing
What'd you
that I worked very
forget?
hard on. Before we talk about Star Wars, we should have a let's chat about Star Wars transition,
Shall
right?
we?
Should we do it anyway?
Let's do it anyway.
Let's do it anyway. That was better. Now we can talk more about Star Wars.
Now that I have listened to a melodica.
Yeah. That was really the reason to do this. But, I'm thinking every transition should have a melodic in it. I think that would be fun. But
I'm thinking we're taking applications for Geeks Corner.
so we now no longer will have the dinner thing,
The blue shrimp,
all of that. We won't have I don't think you can. I think you could repurpose that experience with Gaia in the parks. I think you could repurpose a lot of other things into the parks.
I want a $5,000 Star Wars cocktail.
That I could see coming into the parks. Wasn't that on the ship also?
Possibly, yeah.
I don't remember. Oh, I guess that was just Halcyon. But the yelling of Star Wars intro might come back. We'll see. But what would you like to see that's currently in the Halcyon moved over or replicated in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge?
Really small living spaces. I would love... I feel like Halcyon did what Galaxy's Edge really wanted to do. And I feel like it was very immersive and entertaining. And so I think that's what I would love to see come to Galaxy's Edge is truly the play factor of like you are in a story and fully playing is encouraged, and your level of interaction is whatever you make of it. And Galaxy's Edge has it to an extent, but I would love to see it really, really come to life. I would also love to see the lightsaber, but I understand why that couldn't happen
I disagree. I think it could happen.
in the sun.
It's open at night.
True.
Like, you don't have to have everything. Like, why not pull people over there at night?
True.
There's a lot of places you could put them.
I would love to see the lightsaber make it out because that is really cool technology.
Okay. I would like to see the dining.
Really?
I think, well, because remember when they first announced it, there was going to be in Galaxy's Edge a full-on dinner experience or
Yes.
dining experience. And I think you could do, like, literally leave Oga's where it is. But what about a full interactive restaurant with Gaia? Maybe the First Order shows up, or maybe sometimes it's the First Order and other times it's the Empire. Like, change times. Like, maybe depends on which day of the week it is or something. I don't know.
Unlock the timeline.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. But I think there is so many fun things you could do with a dining experience. You think of, you've got what, the dinosaur thing in Disney Springs. You've got the, I'm forgetting the name of it. It's also the same company.
So it's Dinosaur Rainforest Cafe.
Rainforest Cafe.
And then it's Rainforest Cafe.
Yes.
And then it's...
But experiential dining does pretty well with Disney. Like, even when it was at Disneyland, Rainforest Cafe was doing pretty well right up until the end, and they thought they were going to put a hotel there. And I do have to wonder if you had experiential dining in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And maybe you even have, like, Oga show up, or, like...
Imagine, like, a Space 220 style restaurant, but
yeah,
you are in space in Star Wars.
Well, maybe that'd be even really the way to do it, is you do go up to... That'd be a lot of work.
It would be. But you go up to a base, or you go up to...
Or maybe you're just on the... Maybe it's just a place.
But I'm saying, like, it could be
an expansion of Oga's.
I
But
think
you...
it'd be fun.
Because you could do a lot. And there's enough stories that happen on Batuu now that you could have anything happen.
Batuu now.
And so I would like to see the dining experience come. And I would tend to guess it would be in a price range where you could actually fill it enough that it would be profitable.
Yeah.
Because that's really, at the end of the day, why the Halcyon's not succeeding, is you have to fill it to get the most out of the experience, to make it pay for itself and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
Empire Bar.
It'd be fun too. But then it'd have to switch sometimes to...
For the Empire!
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I think the part I'm going to miss the most that I'll never get to experience is getting to go on the bridge and actually fly the thing. Like, I think that'd be super cool. And work in engineering and all of that fun stuff. Like, those kind of things that are ship-centric are just going to go away, and that's kind of a bummer. But I would love to have gotten to experience that. But I think you're totally right, is bring the experiential part of the characters, and, like, even if it's just more resistance fighters and Imperial or First Order officers into the land.
It doesn't have to be named characters.
No.
Like,
in fact, I think it's almost better when it's not.
Yeah.
Because then you can build up to, oh, Kylo Ren's showing up, or oh, Rey is showing up, or oh, Darth Vader's showing up, or maybe
there's stakes when it's just people.
Admiral Akbar. Why can't Admiral Akbar show up? Right? You don't want to see Admiral Akbar?
That's scary.
I think it'd be amazing. All right. We'll move on. Along with the announcement,
we're only 15 minutes into the show.
Along with the announcement that the Halcyon is going away, we also learned that the Lake Nona campus is not happening at all. What do you think about this one?
Oops.
So that's $1 billion going into this campus, and then 2,000 jobs moving over for this.
Yes, and there are... My immediate thought when I heard about this is how disappointed I am for the people that decided to not be with the Walt Disney Company anymore.
Or already moved.
Because of this transition. So there were some people that had to make the heartbreaking decision to not stay with a job that they loved because they couldn't move
Or leave their families.
or leave their families or take their families and uproot them.
No, that's what I mean. Is
Yeah.
you're leaving extended family, I'm assuming.
Or there's the people that have already moved and done all this, and now it's I the other part of me has to wonder, with all of the jobs that have been cut, could it have happened anyway? And the answer might be yes, but it still doesn't make it feel any better. And I completely understand why the Lake Nona move was canceled. I don't disagree with why it was canceled. I don't know. I am not to be this person, but I am a major empath, and my heart immediately goes out to the people that had to make that really tough decision, and essentially it's now for naught.
And I think there's more reasons that it was canceled than the readily apparent
I
ones.
agree.
One of them being is mortgage rates have gone through the roof there since the original plan was. I think the way the leadership has gone for the company has changed completely too, where you hear stories that Bob Chapek, and I could be wrong on this, was very into, oh, we're virtual. This is fine. We don't have to be together. And now you have leadership with Bob Iger that we do know on the record that he wants people in the office interacting with each other, working with each other. And to me, it makes a lot of sense. If you're going to have creativity be the lead of the company, you want the creative center to all be in one place. And to me, there's an even bigger question mark then of not just we could move the creative center of Disney Parks Experience and Products with Imagineering over here into Florida. But I think there's at that point, if you do that, then you're looking at, well, are we going to move the rest of corporate over to Florida? Like that's the next kind of logical step in that. And I don't think that was going to happen in this leadership, among all of the other things that are going on that make it prohibitive to go to Florida right now for Disney. And I think it really sucks for all the people that moved, that didn't want to move, the people that left that didn't necessarily want to leave, and the people who felt that hanging over them for the last 2-3 years, whatever, as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what the next step is for Imagineering and for Disney as they're moving forward into this next phase, because now you almost have to not rebuild necessarily, but there probably is an element of rebuilding and refocusing and realigning where the company's going, and specifically Imagineering, because I feel like it was probably hit the hardest
Definitely
as they move into this next phase of whatever, which could include, Avatar Land and Disneyland Forward and all of these different things that are being talked about, which ironically enough, Ken Potrock, the Disneyland Resort president, just talked about Disneyland Forward to some Orange County leaders. And basically, there wasn't a whole lot new that came out of this, but it also showed that Disney's still kind of on that path of, hey, let's put a Disney Springs-like thing with hotels over where Toy Story is now. Let's expand parks and some retail and more hotels also kind of around where the hotels currently are in their parking spaces. And then also using the space, I think, honestly, that has where the buses come in, the transportation center, more effectively for things for people to do and experience and spend money on, as opposed to just show up and get dropped off by a bus, because all of that would go across the street behind the hotels that are owned by outside vendors. But what do you think of Disneyland Forward from what continues to be, like, it's been pretty, I don't know, steadfast. Like, it hasn't really changed from what they've said a year ago.
It seems that they are getting more buy-in. It seems like they have more people on their side with this.
Which, can we be surprised?
No.
Anaheim had a year without their tax revenue.
When I said that on the internet, I got attacked.
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah. I still, yeah. Anyway, Anaheim would not be what it is without the Disneyland Resort. I think that everything that happened with the original West End of Downtown Disney was insane. But I think it's all for the best. Because imagine if we did have that 4-diamond hotel or whatever it was supposed to be, and then we could still do this to an extent, but it would be a little bit more wonky. I think this is a better deal. This is the West End's been dead for 7 years. Who's to say?
Has
But
it really been 7 years already?
yeah, because it originally ESPN's and Rainforest Cafe closed in 2016, I believe. Or
That's
was it
crazy.
2018?
I feel like 2018 sounds closer.
That's still 5 years.
That's a long time. So here's my question. If you get one thing out of Disneyland Forward, what do you want?
A Meet the Robinsons flying attraction.
Fair.
Everything has to be they've said that there wouldn't be any outdoor coasters because of noise ordinances on that side. And they would have to stay within, so things would have to be indoor and boxed.
Mm-hmm.
So a Meet the Robinsons flying attraction. Will they do it? No. But they've actually remembered that the movies existed in the last 6 months, so
Okay. That's cool. I honestly don't know what I'd like to see. Like, part of me is like, oh yeah, let's get our own version of Pandora, but from a different era of Pandora, like not the one that's in Animal Kingdom, but maybe it's coming from not the Way of Water, but is it the Way of Fire or something that's coming next? Like maybe something from the future of Pandora, so it kind of evolves the story moving forward. A Muppet Land would be great, or Muppet Land, that would be great. I'd be cool with that. I'd also be cool with all the stuff they're doing in Tokyo. Like any of that would be fantastic, whether it's Tangled, whether
Frozen.
it was.
That's the
I
wrong
kind of
park,
don't
isn't it?
want Frozen, and I kind of also don't want the Neverland, just because
What about the Beauty and the Beast?
Beauty and the Beast I'd be totally fine with.
Okay.
Like that would be amazing. But like I wouldn't be surprised if we got Frozen or something. Like that'd be fine.
You don't want the what is that called? Used to be in Fantasyland. Skull Rock.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But that's from Neverland.
I know it'd be cool. That's
I'm
just not the
kidding.
one I want.
I'm kidding.
Like,
No,
I
agree.
more.
Encanto.
Yeah.
That
Encanto would be great.
Because I think Encanto is very colorful and very fun, and I think that would bring a lot of
Which is kind of why I want Tangled, because I feel like it has lots going on. Also, that would be a lot of fun. Moana would be fine. Like there's lots of things that would be fine. And the funny part is all of these things, as they're being decided on, Christine McCarthy this last week mentioned that Disney Plus, the data they're getting from there will actually determine what's going into the parks in the future. And then they can kind of see what IP is resonating with people, which at first I think most Disney fans are like, oh, I hate that, because it takes away the spontaneity and the creativity of people being impulsive and just using their creativity. But I think it also informs decisions where you can focus your creativity on not guessing what people want, but instead taking what people want and using the creativity to make it something that they love. And I think that's a huge tool that we sometimes discount because we're like, well, no, creativity means you just do whatever you want. And it's interesting how, to pitch our other podcast, Influencing Magic, how many times in interviews over and over again, we have now heard you have to have the guidelines so that you can basically build to play outside of them. Like you can't play outside of the rules until you have the rules. And so I don't know. I'm kind of okay with the Disney Plus thing, especially if people watch a lot of the Muppets and if they put boat notes on there. I agree.
I also think that there is an element of like, this is why you get surveys at Disneyland. This is why research exists. Like they need to make these informed decisions, because what if they built...
Well, they're not making informed decisions to make us upset.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the funny thing is I think they're gathering this information so they can give people what they want. Well, and that shouldn't be a bad thing.
And so,
especially if there's bonus.
I will throw it out there because I understand. I know they will not do a Meet the Robinsons attraction because Meet the Robinsons is not a well-liked film. I know Noah, who has been on this show, who I have personal beef with now, does not like Meet the Robinsons at all. Sorry, Noah, we're fighting. I love you, but we are. Noah cannot stand Meet the Robinsons. And that's a lot of people's opinion of the film. It is my favorite Disney movie of all time, but we are a small but mighty group that love it. So I understand, because if they did open an attraction, most people would go, why?
You're assuming they go, why, and not what's this?
They'd go, when did this come out?
What is this one?
2007?
This is.
No.
I actually think I think that That's a good point, because I do think, well, think about, was it Oogie Boogie Bash
Mhm.
where they had bowler hat guy, and so many
It was
people,
Villains Night.
or Villains Night, and so many people just walked by him, and then there was the people that were really excited to see him. But you know what? That's where that place
I
was perfect for it.
was sick and
Yeah.
I couldn't see him.
Maybe Oogie Boogie Bash this year. We will see.
I want bowler hat guy.
Yeah, I would love to see him come back. I was very impressed. And I would say I'm not as, like, I enjoy the film, but I'm nowhere near the fan that you are.
It's okay. Almost no one is.
Right. But I think there's lots of options for what could go into a Disneyland Forward expansion. And obviously we're going to get more restaurants, more shops, more hotels, all of that stuff, which could be great. But you also need the attractions to go with it.
Sure.
And that will be interesting to see. And I'll also be interested to see what entertainment goes with that, where it's connected to the parks. Like, in general, it's kind of universally agreed that it would be an expansion to the parks and not a third park. But
Mhm.
you know, anything could happen. You never know.
You never know.
You don't. What we do know, though, is that there will be no Fantasmic this summer at the Disneyland Resort. And so the question then becomes, because obviously that's just sad
Mhm.
and it's no good for anybody. But what would you like to see Disney offer since
Easy.
they're not offering Fantasmic this summer, realistically? Because the trick is, it's May
Mhm.
23rd. We've had 0 auditions.
Mhm.
So you have to go ahead with what you're thinking, and we'll see if it's realistic.
Paint the Night.
See, and that's where I don't think it's practical. I don't think if you were to have auditions tomorrow, they could mount Paint the Night in time. Do you think they could?
I think there's enough people realistically
That know it?
on property that have the knowledge.
Okay. Then it would start at the end of June or something.
Potentially. I mean, Rogers is starting June 30th.
And they've been rehearsing already
I know. Well, they only cast like 4
a
weeks
month
ago.
ago. Yeah. But that's a timeline I would expect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've already seen they're doing auditions at Knott's Berry Farm already for
Ghost Town Alive.
no,
Oh, Scary Farm.
for Scary Farm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Disney doesn't generally just be like, poof, there it is.
Let's do it. If we were dedicated enough, we could do it.
Like, I think it would be a stretch to pull
Main Street Electrical Parade.
a Main Street Electrical Parade, which I think more people are already.
Mhm.
You could be like, oh, you already know this.
Because
Here,
we did
let's
it
go.
6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know that they could practically mount a parade.
This is me, what's behind Big Thunder blue skying, okay?
But no, I want to know practically for this summer, what could actually happen?
Practically.
Like, do you put in a second fireworks show?
I was going to say, you get a second fireworks show. You
Same show or a different
one? Same one. You get a 9 and a 10:30.
Okay. You wouldn't do like Disneyland Forever or something different?
No.
Remember Dreams Come True?
No.
I think that'd be funny.
I think Wondrous Journeys.
You could do Mickey's Mixed Magic.
I knew you were going to say that.
At 11 and 10:30, whatever.
So actually what you would do is
projection Mickey's Mixed Magic at 10:30.
No, 9 and 10:30 is Wondrous Journeys because that's been packing in people. So I see that that's a success. But then at 11 and 12, you do Mickey's Mixed Magic projection.
Sure, why not?
I'm being funny.
You never know.
No, I think that a 9 and 10:30 of Wondrous Journeys would be the easy. Like, it's not easy. It costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of people to do something like that. But the amount of people that I know that live here that pack in every single time to watch Wondrous Journeys, I think adding a second show is an
So here's the other thing I think you could do. Maybe. Depending on, because I don't know the actual damage on the island right now.
Mm-hmm.
You could use it as a stage, and you could have rock concerts out there.
With who?
There's bands around. Like, you
Hard Day's Night. He's gonna say Hard Day's Night.
That's not where I was gonna go, actually. But I feel like you could probably pull in some bands and get them to play there. And
like at Tomorrowland.
Kind of like Tomorrowland used to be. But you could even have different things, different nights. It'd be heck, you could even go, like, in my perfect world, you'd pull in more bands like Fat Cat Swinger and stuff, and you make it a swing dance area. Like, you just make it a really classic night. Or maybe throw them on the Mark Twain. Like
I
do
like that.
because then you're pulling people still over to that part of the park and getting them out of the parts that are already busy. And I don't know, you could do something like that. Just an idea. I don't actually know what they're going to do because I think it's a very difficult thing. Maybe it's even just changing the times for Magic Happens to later in the evening.
Magic
Like do 4:30 and 8:30 or something, so you kind of have an evening thing happening instead of. But I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what they come up with, and we don't really have a promotion for the summer, do we? Like it's kind of Disney 100, but they're not really talking about it here because I feel like the focus is now in Florida, and I don't know. It'll be very interesting.
Say the least.
Yes, we are in Geeks Corner Plus, as some of you have mentioned in the comments. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them at us, and we'll stick around for a couple more minutes and think about Magic Happens at Night.
Magic Happens at Night is so pretty. And we don't get it anymore because time
Put
changed.
March of the First Order in Galaxy's Edge at night. That's what I would do.
Ooh, okay, I like that. That's nice. Because we can 100% do that. That's
Mhm.
totally feasible.
Like you could lean into the Star Wars thing, or you could put maybe not the modal nodes, but maybe you put a different band that's Star Wars. Dare I say it? Kind of like Helix, up above the Millennium Falcon on that thing,
To say it.
or maybe in front of the TIE Echelon. Like there's places you could put a band actually right in front of the TIE Echelon would be perfect. You put a band up there, turn the whole area into a dance party.
That'd be good.
I bet they would sell more blue milk than any other time. Don't you think?
It's just the phrasing of that.
I think you do something in Galaxy's Edge that's entertainment based that pulls people back there. And I think you almost have to do that. You could do a DJ over by the X-Wing with Chewbacca and Rey. But in world.
Yeah.
Like DJ Rex type stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe it's something else, like a different DJ. Like I think there's things you could do to pull people into Galaxy's Edge at night, and there's so much space back there. Like that would be like there's always a spot we talk about that's above the
across from Ronto.
Yeah, and I feel like you could do something like that. You could do the X-Wing drones. That's a great idea also.
I wish that I had seen
I just think there's so many things you could do at night back there that would pull people into the land and just eat them up. It'd be great. All right. That's what it is. Galaxy's Edge is the answer, everybody. All right, Katie, what should people do?
Go to dapsmagic.com. Check out all the Disney and geek news as it happens. From there, you can subscribe to our mailing list. You can participate in the conversation at dapsmagic.com/chat. You can also find our Patreon where we post a lot of very cool, fun, exclusive things. And sometimes, like today, you get to see Mr. Daps post something and me sound off in the comments because I'm seeing it at the same time as you guys. So
yeah, I don't really give heads up on anything.
No, it's fun.
It's true. You can also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a bunch of videos going up, including Everyday Disney This Day, Influencing Magic, our new podcast, new-ish podcast, I guess, and all of our previous Geeks Corner episodes as well, which there's over 600. I don't know what number we're at, 661. So coming up on 700.
In most of them.
So make sure to subscribe to that so you don't miss any of those. But that is all the time we have for you tonight. So we will see you around the corner.
Bye.